Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sadhana. And tonight I am doing a tarot tag created by Nancy, PaperMoon Tarot, who is already in the chat. So I just want to acknowledge Nancy. Make sure you go to her channel, check out her videos, subscribe. It's a fairly new channel and she's just a wealth of information and metaphors, loves to do research, and I really have enjoyed the videos that she's done so far. So thank you, Nancy, for creating this tag. It's really kind of a fun concept, and I was just reflecting on different tarot tags and different metaphors that have been used to look at the tarot, to work with the tarot. And one of the everything comes down to yoga for me. I'm sorry about that. It's just, there's always a yogic perspective on everything. How we digest life is what I was going to say. So there's different ways to digest the tarot, right? Different days. Sorry, I have something in my eye. Different days we need different things. Different days we need a kick in the butt, right? Sometimes we need something. So what would the kick in the butt be? That would be, you know, something spicy perhaps. So we're going to kind of look at the different things, the different medicines. Maybe that's another word that some people relate to that we use, right? In choosing decks. And I think this video is about starting to think about why we choose decks that we choose and how certain decks are going to respond in different ways. And I tend to have a lot of decks out at the same time, like to play with many, many different decks when I'm doing readings and so forth, combined decks. And I think it's great if we could just put a little bit of reflection into why we choose what we choose. So I just want to say hi to everybody in the chat, and then we'll get to looking at some of these prompts that Nancy has created. So hello to Angela, Tiny Trinkets and Tarot, and Danielle, Woven Pixel. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Mary Beth. Mallory, thanks for joining me tonight. Appreciate it. Janine, hello. Okay, I will do my best to greet people as they come in, and all of you in the background who aren't in the chat, welcome, welcome. And please join us when you feel ready. Okay, so food. This feels like a bit of a foodie tag, and there's a couple of things I guess I should say off the top. One is that I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for a full-time vegetarian since 2012, and I have throughout that time been a vegan from time to time. And so that's just, I'm just putting that out there. So the meat and potatoes category is kind of metaphorically my meat and potatoes. And also I've talked a little bit about Samantha. So Samantha is one of my daughters, and she's a massage therapist. She is just got her acupuncture certification at Chinese medicine school. So we have a lot, and she's also really into herbs, as is my other daughter. And so we have a lot of that going on in the house. So food these days is really taken a turn as far as the kind of food that we eat. Like I can't remember the last time I went to a rich food restaurant, you know, like out for a French dinner, like even the year pre-COVID, like it's been ages. I go for Greek. I love Greek food. That's one thing I do treat myself to. And it's easy to eat vegan Greek, right? So yeah, so the first prompt in this tag is favorite appetizer, a deck to whet your appetite. And I am cheating on this one a little bit. And please give me some leniency here, Nancy, because I have done a few things a little differently. Let me go to this one. Now, this is something I have not yet used on my channel. And let's just get into the screen here. These coins were created by Kelly, who's the owner of the, I'm on a different side of the table today, so my foot's forward and back is different. They were created by Kelly, who is the owner of the store where sometimes I go and I do readings. And there are 22 cards and 2 blanks. I've removed the blanks because I haven't figured out what to do with the blanks. And if we're talking about appetizers or warming up to a reading, hello, Joseph, welcome to you. I saw somebody else come in. Kristen, hello. And I haven't really figured out how I'm going to use these. I want to help her to promote this product. They're kind of cool. I wish they were gold. And so we've got this design on the back, and then there's a symbol for each of the major arcana. And so what I have been doing in some of the readings I've done is I have thrown these coins just to get an overall theme. And I felt like this is a really good a deck as an appetizer, because you just get a little kind of taste and a flavor for the reading. So yeah, how many of you use coins? I know there's some really fancy ones out there. These ones are really kind of simple. And I don't know if you can see any of them. Let me just zoom in a little bit. It's hard at this time of night with the glare and so forth. And I got to find my space. Oh, we're over here on this side. Okay. Yeah, I like the sun. The sun is kind of nice. There's a couple that are kind of repetitive. Yeah, so this is my appetizer. And I don't know if it's my favorite appetizer, but it's my new and coolest appetizer, that's for sure. And Nancy, on her video, make sure you go and check it out. I linked it below. Used a playing card deck. And I think that's also a really cool way, like a really nice introduction into a reading. Like, it's a kind of like the perfect appetizer. So especially, my voice is going to go, I can tell. Especially if you're working with somebody who hasn't done this kind of thing before, it's kind of nice to have a few different tricks on your table, you know, a few different oracles, and just make it really fun. And so this was my idea for an appetizer. Yeah, I like this one. This one's nice. The devil. I like that one. Yeah. Somebody has coins. I saw. I have coins. Danielle has coins, and you have not used them yet. You backed them on Kickstarter. Okay. These ones are really, really inexpensive. I think retail they're $40. And I know sometimes the coins can be quite expensive. Okay. So the next one is French Bistro, elegant, tasty meal. And, you know, I was imagining different, in Old Quebec, in Montreal, some different French bistros that I've been to. I've been to some amazing French restaurants in Japan, and I know that sounds bizarre, but the Japanese really know how to do a French restaurant well. I've never been to France, which is a crying shame. Vancouver, sure, been to some French restaurants. I'm sure other places in the world as well too. So a French restaurant to me is a little dark. And I know Nancy said French bistro. Yeah, I just have this kind of moody feeling when I think of a French restaurant. Kind of dark. Maybe people are smoking cigarettes as well too. That doesn't happen anymore here where I live. And it's definitely got this very romantic feeling to it. Yeah. And there's something about, and I just French onion soup is something, if it's done well, I really, really enjoy. And so when I was thinking of French restaurant, I had I have a couple of ideas. So, oh my goodness, where is my deck? Are you kidding me? It's not here. Please, Sadhana, really? Really, really, really? I knew it was too good to be true. 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves. I will be right back. I have this deck problem here. Where is my deck? Oh, wow. How can you possibly lose a deck between sorting decks and choosing them for a video and then not having them? Where could it have gone? Oh, behind the screen. The mystery is solved. The mystery is solved. Okay. I know I could have chosen any number of tarot de Marseille, but there is something about the painted tarot that felt like a French bistro to me. It felt like, you know, it has a little bit of moodiness to it. Oh, and the camera is upside down. Okay, we'll do it this way. It has a little bit of moodiness. And it just feels like that very French kind of energy. There's something about the faces in this deck, especially in the cups. I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, and I feel like in a French restaurant too, in a fine French restaurant, the plates are small and there's a little bit on a plate, and I just, not always, but so this felt very, very French to me. There we go. Now I know where I am on the table. This is the Painted Tarot by Sophie McKay-Knight, which is fairly new to my collection. Kristen, when I first saw Nancy's tag, I racked my brain, and I honestly didn't think I could do this. Didn't think at all. So yeah, so this, and you know, there's quite a few cards like this, and I just felt, or what about this one, like the dancer in the Ace of Swords. There's quite a few dancers in this deck, and so maybe there's a ballet. Ah, maybe that's why. It feels like a bunch of ballerinas in a way. Je comprends. Now I understand why I chose this deck. Very, very French. Okay, so now here I'm going to add my own little flair. So what happens when the food gets too heavy, right? You have a lot of heavy meals. There's a lot of butter. You can never have too much butter. But sometimes we need to cleanse the palate. Sometimes we need to cleanse the palate. And I thought, what deck better to cleanse the palate than the Herb Crafter's Tarot? This deck just feels like, yeah, this deck to me feels like sorbet, right? If you're cleansing the palate with sorbet, or it also makes me think, do you know in an Indian restaurant, oh, look at that one, right? This looks like totally cleansing the palate. You know, when you go out of an Indian restaurant and there's those little dishes of fennel and sugar, and I know that's for digestion, but this feels like my palate cleanser. So this is not in the prompts below. This is something that I added. I think it's so funny that cannabis is on the Justice card. Not exactly a palate cleanser, but lots and lots of palate cleansers in this. This could also be in a you know, if you like as a cleanse. So if you were looking for a food cleanse, this would be a good deck for that too. Alrighty. the Herb Crafters Tarot. How many of you know how Joanna does these? Does everybody have her decks, the Gaian and this one? I went back and I was reading the page where she talks about how she sets up the photographs. No, it wasn't in the guidebook. I went to her website because I was looking for some information about her decks. And then there is this step-by-step instructions about how she does this and how she takes the photos, sets up the photos, and then with the colored pencils, how she creates these. It's really quite something. Interesting process. Both this one and the Gaian, same style of art. I really like this one. I actually like this one better than the Gaian Tarot. Okay. Yes, isn't that, yes, herbs are so important. Or high tea. Ah, I like that. I like that. All right, so the next prompt, where are we at? Is Spicy Dish, a deck that adds a little zing to the reading. A little zing. So that's kind of, I'm thinking, okay, do I have like a Mexican deck? Do I have a Spanish deck? Do I have a deck that has that kind of spicy food? Do I have a Szechuan deck? And I was thinking, you know, sometimes when you go to an African restaurant, there's, I mean, lots, I'm not sure which country's food, because there's not a lot of those style of restaurants where I live. So I'm looking for more of an international cuisine. And then I'm thinking too, spicy. So sometimes spicy means we need to cut to the chase. You know, I really felt like this deck was the deck that tells the truth. It's going to, you know, it's going to inject something that we might not want to hear. And so when I'm thinking of a spicy deck, I'm wondering what your deck is that you know is always going to tell you the truth. It's not going to sugarcoat anything. Oh, you know what I think? I'm just thinking fairy decks. So I have a couple of fairy decks that are like that. They just kind of give you a little more than a nudge. Okay, so there's a couple that came to mind. So I was, you know, I'm thinking the Afro Tarot, and this actually made me want to go and look up some recipes of spicy Moroccan food or something. Yeah, my I need to Google that. Spicy. I need to like vegan, veggie dishes. And I don't know if one part of the African continent, the food is spicier than in another's, and which spices. But I'm just had this funny feeling that this felt kind of spicy. So this is one thought on that one. This is the Afro Tarot by Just Jumanji. I so regret not buying the Oracle deck at the same time, but because of the exchange and the postage, I probably won't ever get it. It would have been such a perfect pairing to have both her decks side by side, because the Oracle deck has the animals from the African continent as well too. So this one or the other, the African Tarot, but I'm also thinking too that one of the decks, you know, when somebody asks you a question in a tarot reading and you respond as a reader, do you really want to know the answer? Which deck do you choose? Right? If you want to really kind of get to the heart of the matter. I'm curious. For me, it's Sasaribito. Sasaribito doesn't lie. Sasaribito is not, it's not scary, but it just really, really hits the point. And I find something a little spicy about Sasaribito. Yeah. And I know that it's nicknamed Sassy Burrito. And maybe that's for a reason, right? Because maybe other people find this deck kind of sassy / spicy. Yeah, I find, if you want the truth, this deck doesn't hide from the truth. So I'm curious, what are your decks that don't hide from the truth? Let's have a look here. New Orleans Voodoo Tarot is spicy. Okay, thank you for that. A deck that is not bland. Okay. So let me know, because I think that's a good question. I think it's a good question, you know, because I think we all need to have a deck where we know, guaranteed, if we throw down a quick 3-card reading, there's no fussing about. Like, there's no little, it's not going to take you in around the, you're not going to go around the bush, right? Around the merry-go-round. It's going to cut to the chase. And maybe any deck can do that, but I find this one is really good for that. Other decks I might put in that category. One is the Slow Tarot. I find the Slow Tarot is also quite honest in that regard. Yeah. Slow. All right. Next one is Little Italy, a taste tempting palette. No, a taste tempting pasta. A taste tempting pasta. And it was, I just loved the memory that Nancy, that you brought up. And I'm thinking about my I'm going to say university days. So when I was going to the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, I loved going to all the little, there's a lot of ethnic villages, ethnic towns, ethnic parts of Vancouver. And there, besides Chinatown, there isn't really anymore. There was a Japanese, like a Japan town. There is Little Italy, Little India, a couple of very Greek strips. You know, it's just like so amazing. Yeah, living in Vancouver. So Little Italy, amazing, amazing restaurants, wonderful Italian community in Vancouver. Yeah, huge, enormous plates of pasta. So much pasta that oh my God. And so many of them, a couple of them are in like you go down the stairs, kind of like I was describing with the French restaurant, but in really, really cool places. So Little Italy. Nancy showed La Corte dei Tarocchi, which is a perfect choice. You know, I love this deck as well. This is this is my favorite Il Manangello deck. But I thought I would show you something else because Nancy showed this one in her video. But I really, this is such a gorgeous deck. Just touching this deck makes me happy. The paper, and I love the coins in this deck. So yeah, so this is I would have chosen this one if Nancy didn't choose this one. But I decided to pull out my Medieval Scapini. This one. This is a Lo Scarabeo deck. I don't have any of the ornate decks from Il Manangello. But this one, there's something very, very Italian about this one. So like You can't see it. These are the backs. Sorry about the glare. And this one, let me just show you a variety of cards, is so very, very beautiful and very Italian. And I kind of wish that, yeah, I kind of feel like after this COVID thing is over, I need to find a way to travel again. I'm really missing this. The cups, I love the cups in this deck. They're just so gorgeous. It has a very international flair to it as well, too. But definitely it has that Italian feel. Yeah, this is medieval Scappini. It's not Lo Scarabeo, it's US Games. US Games. Sorry, US Games. Yeah. I think these Italian and French decks do the coins so well. I love the coins in this one too. There's the Popes. And part of my Italian tour is going to be to go to the production site of the Il Meneghello decks, or maybe some of the other ones. And I've also found a couple of metaphysical shops in Italy that I would love to go to. Wouldn't that be fun? Sadhana's international tour of metaphysical shops. Oh my God, sign me up, please. Sign me up. So get thinking about your tarot collection and how you would do this one. Okay, so the next one is the comfort food one. So Nancy called this meat and potatoes. I don't eat meat. I do eat potatoes. The trusty main meal deck that sticks to your ribs. And you know what? I don't have either of them here. I put away all my tarot decks today and I cleaned and I organized and everything. So I'm just going to tell you what they are. So my meat and potatoes. Yeah, this is funny. Anyway, my meat and potatoes, I chose two. I chose Robin Wood, which is my first RWS-ish deck that, it does have a Wiccan flair that I just really, really would always go back to. And it's there and I know how to read it. And I love the fabric and the suit of swords. There's a couple of things about the deck that I really, really love. The other meat and potatoes deck for me is Druidcraft. It's just like so easy to read. It's so easy to digest. I never get a bad reading. I feel like it's just like a friend. Right? So those two decks never really go very far. And over the years, there's been lots of different meat and potatoes decks that I feel like Robin Wood was one of the first ones. So I read with that deck exclusively for about, gosh, how long? Maybe it was a long time. I'm going to say 3 years, maybe longer. It was long. And then over the years, there's been some, like Line Strider was a deck. I don't have, and it seems so bizarre. I had Line Strider in my basket for probably a year. I loved reading with that deck. So yeah, but Druidcraft is one that I have a couple different copies, a trimmed and an untrimmed copy. So that's pretty funny. Cleaned up all my decks and didn't bring everything out. Okay, and yeah, and then Oracle deck. So Nancy, so the next prompt is an Oracle deck that is a perfect pairing. An Oracle deck that is a perfect pairing. So why don't I put up some banners instead of, because I'm just like, what the heck? I was so prepared for this. So I'm going to type in a few. So this is definitely one. So Connected and Free, the Alchemist Oracle, I find is a perfect pairing with so many tarot decks. And one of my favorite tarot decks, as you know, is the Wild Unknown, and it's such a great deck to have with that one. So it's a perfect pairing. And I think we could probably do perfect pairings, slightly different ones with a lot of these. And lately, my perfect pairing, as far as oracles go, and I've been using it with, so many different tarot decks, is Michelle Motuzis's deck, the black one. And I do like the black one better than the blue one. I do have a video comparing Empathic Oracle and the Shamanic Healing Oracle. But this Shamanic Healing has been a perfect pairing, the perfect glass of wine to work with so many decks. Everything from something like the Marielle to, I've been working with the Wildwood lately. It's a beautiful pairing for the Wildwood, and so many. And if you go back through the multitude of deck combo videos that I've done, you'll see it like popping up here and there with all kinds of decks. It really is a workhorse of a deck. And yeah, a glass of wine that goes with everything. So yeah, so those are a couple. What is your oracle deck that just works with everything? I know Roots and Wings is one that a lot of people would say. Oracle of Echoes. Anna's deck, though, does not go well with everything because it's a very, it can be very, it can, what's the word? It can deal bitter medicine, you know, like sometimes her deck is quite, I like it because it's not all fluffy, right? It's a very balanced deck, but sometimes it can be a little too harsh, a little too hard for people. Okay. Oh, we're talking about, okay, I missed some of these. Let's go back. Nancy says, are other cultures than our own automatically spicy? I don't think so. I don't think so. Like I see further down the chat, there's Japanese food. I find a lot of Japanese food very bland, right? A lot of it is really bland. When I lived there, there was, I was introduced to a lot of healthy Japanese food by my students, by the housewives group. And it was, yeah, that I did not really care for, but since have come to like, right? So no, and I think we can get bland food in other cultures as well too, right? You know, there's a lot of, everything is not necessarily spicy. So when I think of spicy, I think of, it's either got a bitter bite to it or it's got that hot spicy flair to it. Yeah, and there's lots of Indian, I mean, much of in southern India, the food is hot, spicy, but it's not necessarily, there's a lot of bland food as well too. Like when you go to the ashram, there's no spice at all. It's very, very bland. So, right, day after day of unspicy khichdi and other dishes that are really, really not spicy. I will have to check out Kristen's Poem to the World card. Kristen, what was the name of the video that you did that poem in? Let me know. Ah, New Era Elements. Yes, that is a kick-ass deck, isn't it? Yes. Yes. And the Tarot Garden. I don't know that deck. The Tarot Garden. Okay, I will check that out. Nocturna Oracle. So, oh my goodness. Hello, Andrew. Welcome. Welcome. Yes. Oh my goodness. The first time I tried kimuchi, I think it was given to me at a family meal and I had never tried the spicy pickles. Oh my God. Yeah, that is hot, hot, hot. And I remember my first trip to Thailand as well, too. I had never had anything so hot in my life. Yeah, so lots of different spicy foods. Oh, and you said Thai down below as well, too. Mm-hmm. So spicy. I think this is really good. So what does spicy mean? Spicy means not necessarily like garlic or hot, but spicy means it introduces something that we wouldn't normally see. Perhaps that's what it means. Introduces something that we wouldn't normally see. So a deck that gets you to look at things differently. So for example, another deck that I've been working with a lot lately is Dust to Onyx, but I wouldn't consider Dust to Onyx spicy. I find Dust to Onyx is, it's dark, it's deep, and it's like, yeah, it's a different energy. So I don't know, maybe that's something to really contemplate. It's a good question. Thank you for that. Got it. I understand now. Yeah, and of course, spicy is subjective. That is for sure. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on. And I have one other category that I'm going to add to Nancy's as well, too. And then her last one was fancy dessert. The card that reminds you of an elaborate wedding cake. And I was thinking of like swirls. I was thinking of those desserts, where they decorate the plate and then they put the cake on the plate and it's just such a pretty presentation. Or you get a pool of chocolate with a meringue on it, something really gorgeous like that. And so my dessert deck, I chose the Tarot des Arts. To me, this deck is like dessert. There's something about this deck that is just so pretty, so beautiful. Oh, I have a couple other here I'm going to show you in a minute. Besides my extra theme. Yeah, I find this deck, like this Ace of Swords is so beautiful. And I love all the swirls and the different colors of paint. This is actually, and this, look at the pentacles, right? Every pentacles card is different. Let's get the pentacles. They're just so pretty. Like if you're talking about a fancy dessert, these pentacles are extraordinary. I love them. Yeah, really, really beautiful. Maybe they're all on the table already. Oh, here's the ace. Look at that. So beautiful. Even this, look at this. Even the swords are pretty. Two of Pentacles. Yeah, this is definitely a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous dessert. And so what does that mean metaphorically, right? So I feel like if you're going to do, oh my goodness gracious. So yesterday in the Facebook group, I attempted this chapter 30 extravaganza in Holistic Tarot by Venerable Wen. which is called Opening the Key. It's a 5-step, which is actually more than 5 steps to it, reading. It's absolutely exhausting. Some of you watched me fumble my way through it, made lots of mistakes. And it's something that I'm definitely going to try again, because now I figured out what I did wrong for some of it. Anyway, so in that 5-step extravaganza, you're supposed to use the same deck. But what if you used 5 decks and you used a different deck for each operation? And you could kind of look at that reading as a 5-course meal. And each of the courses would bring in another layer to the answer to your question. So, now I'm thinking I might try that again and do that with 5 decks and try to make it a little bit more my own, because I was yesterday following somebody else's rules. And I know this comes through the Golden Dawn, and the version that's in Holistic Tarot is Benebel's take on it. And there's a lot of different ways to go about it, but basically it's just 5 different spreads trying to get to an answer to a question. So maybe I will do that. That would be fun. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Yes, this would pair really beautifully with Painted Tarot to have those 2 decks. Tarot of the Mystical Moments for Dessert. Yum. Oh, this tarot deck that I'm showing you here, this one is by Lori LePage, and I will update below in the description box later. It's available on Printer Studio, and it's called Tarot de. Actually, I'll type it in for you. And it is not. What I'm typing is correct. There's no S in the de. And it's on Printer Studio, and the creator is Lori LePage. And I have a couple of versions of this deck. This back is the new back. The other back is a red back. And yeah, it's a really, really pretty Tarot de Marseille. That's right. It's a pun. It's a pun. Yeah. Yeah, really, really beautiful. Okay, so I have a couple more treats for you. I have a couple more treats. This is fun, actually. I just feel like yesterday's project was so intense. I was ready to kind of quit tarot for a week after yesterday's endeavor. Oh, I'm just looking at the Sun card. Where did it go? I haven't had. Okay, this deck is staying out. This deck is staying out. Okay, so let's just have a little chit chat about this deck. Let's go to here. So one of the, remember I was talking about the dark restaurant, the dark, I think I was talking about the French restaurant. And I think that the Lonely Dreamer fits into that category as well too. I think it's a very romantic deck. It feels very, very French to me. It feels smoky. Yeah, definitely. And didn't Redon live in several different countries? I know he was in France for a period of time, but I believe he lived, I'll have to go back and look it up where he lived. But this is definitely could be my French supper as well too. Yeah, so that that one I wanted to just kind of throw out there too. I really, really like this deck. This is the first version. I know some of you have the second version, and I haven't actually watched a walkthrough of the difference between the first and the second versions. Okay, how many of you have seen the movie About Time with Rachel McAdams? It's got a great cast, that movie. I can't really name the actors. Bill Nye is in it, I think. And do you know the movie I'm talking about? I love all these time travel, magical kinds of movies. Do you know the one I'm talking about? Oh, you have both, Angela. Yeah, it's really a great deck. Maybe I will watch About Time as I am editing videos tonight. Okay, the reason I'm talking about this is that there is a scene in About Time which has dining in the dark. And this is something I've never done. Have you ever tried dining in the dark? There, as far as I know, in Vancouver when I was living there, there was no dining in the dark. But there's something about that. And I was thinking about some of the tarot decks that I have. And I don't know why this came to mind, but I wanted to include dining in the dark. Yeah, so let me know if you've ever dined in the dark, because I think that's really, really cool. So my dining in the dark deck is Lily Black. I really, you know what I love about this deck is that it's so different from Lily White because of the perception. Because of the perception, you see different things in the cards. The cards are almost the same, but because of the night vision, you see things in a different way. And yeah, so if you chose a dining in the dark deck, what would you choose? Yeah, so I've added 2 categories. So I added the palette cleanser and the dining in the dark. This is by Celia Melville. It's from France. Yeah, and I got this one second. I didn't order it at the same time. I have Oracle de Reflet as well too. Yeah, and this one I really feel like it helps with perception. It really helps with perception because sometimes we need to see in the dark. You know, sometimes we need to have that experience of being in the dark. Wow. Look at this Page of Wands. She's so beautiful. Oh, okay. What about also Flowers of the Night? So Flowers of the Night. I'm pretty sure I've paired this deck with Flowers of the Night in one of my side-by-sides. True Black. Yeah, that's a good one as well too. I don't have True Black. Darkness of Light. Yeah, so I thought, and I'm sure I've said this before, that when I got this deck that they would be like, it's not the same deck at all. Like there's slightly different, the artwork is slightly different. And then you get this really cool nuances of the energy. I don't know. There's something really mysterious about this. So yeah, dining in the dark. You know, like look at the luminescence in the Fool in the black deck. It's so much better. Like there's a few cards that are so much better in the black than they are in the white. Generally, I like the white deck, but there's a couple in the black deck that are just extraordinary. One of them is that Hanged Man, which I will find. And oh, here's another one. I love the Six of Swords in this deck. You know, like I want to go across that bridge through that magic door. And I love that the door looks like it's a magic door. Do any of you have this deck? Tarot Trainee you have both Lily White and Lily Black. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think Nancy's comment was about Redon, the artist for The Lonely Dreamer. That was your question. And yes, I believe there's something I remember though, that he lived in many different countries, I think. I don't think he only lived in France. Hey, Jen. Yeah, I'm still live. I'm at the end. We're just kind of winding up here. So yeah, so that's my Dining in the Dark deck. I did a whole list of things. So I thought about what's my little India deck? What's my Chinese food deck? My picnic deck. Oh, I did pick a picnic deck. This is my picnic deck. My picnic deck is the Gaian Tarot. Right? Doesn't this feel like a picnic? The Gaian Tarot. Yeah, because it's just, you know, it's all outdoors and it just feels like a picnic. And when we go on a picnic, doesn't the food taste better on a picnic? Like you can really taste the flavor of the food. And there's this whole other connection with the wasps and the ants and the grass and the mud. And yeah, so this is my picnic deck. So think about this. I thought about what's on the kids' menu, what's Christmas dinner. Yeah, and I didn't bring it over, but that I mentioned Greek food. I love Greek food, and I chose a deck for Greek food as well too. It's an oracle deck, but my Greek deck would be Materia Prima. Yeah, and I think that is it. That's it. Yeah. So this was a really fun tag, Nancy. So thank you for putting this together. Takeout. Yeah, I thought about takeout, but I couldn't come up with a deck for that. And I also thought, what's my vegan deck? So my vegan deck would have there'd be no piercings in the animals, that's for sure. But I didn't think of what my vegan deck would be. Maybe Spirit Song or something like that. Yeah. Okay. So do you have any questions or anything too? Like, I really feel like on these Thursday nights, I kind of have a theme going on, but you know, I'm here on Thursday nights to answer your questions, to if there's something that you want to know about me or how I work with tarot, or there's anything that, you know, burning away that that you'd like answered, you know, not reading answered, but you know, like, how do you do this, Sadhana? Or yeah. And I've really been thinking that tonight I wanted to do a video about how do you think I don't know if I want to call it mediumship or anyway, I just wanted to chat about your experience with working with your guides, with working with the guides of other people that show up in your readings. Because I've had some really cool things happening lately. And I did a reading the other day, and something really funky happened with the cards. And the seeker across the table, the client, smiled. And then at the end of the reading said to me, do you remember at the beginning of the reading when that card stuck to the table and you couldn't get it off the table? And do you remember how you reacted? And I said, yeah, kind of. And then the person said, well, that was my aunt. That's what my aunt did. That's how my aunt reacted. My aunt was always getting, when we were playing crib, she was always getting her cards stuck to the table. And he'd asked about Rose. He wanted a message from Rose, his aunt, when he came in. And there was a few other messages that were coming through. And I wasn't sure if it was Rose or not. But Rose showed up right at the beginning with the cards sticking to the table, and he didn't say anything. So I wanted to have a chat about this because I feel that I have some theories and ideas, and I just would like to articulate some of it. And I thought maybe we could have a four people on and talk about not necessarily, well, of course, we're going to have to talk about our experiences, but what our perception is on what's going on, right? I mean, we don't really know what's going on. We talk about, oh yeah, my angels are here. Oh yeah, is here, but we don't really know. But I just love to have a conversation about this. I think it's time for me to share some of this. Hi, Jamie. Oh, you're so welcome, Nancy. So welcome. So I think I will, there's a couple, in the tarot community, there's a few, I mean, anybody, I don't know if you agree or not, anybody who's doing tarot readings is downloading constantly. And so I guess my question is, what is your perception on that? How do you stay on that flow, and what do you think is actually going on? If you're interested in joining me in a conversation and stepping into StreamYard and being part of a group conversation, let me know. Because I'd love to throw some questions out there and have one of those chats. And if you're watching this in the playback and you would like to do this, then please in the comments below let me know, or send me a personal message. And I also want to thank all of you there's been a lot of messages over the last 10 days coming about special requests or different things, and I want to thank all of you for reaching out in various ways. Yeah. Okay, so last thing before I go tonight, I just wanted to let you know I had a couple of aha moments in the bath. Andrew will appreciate this. Aha moments in the bath. Wednesdays, 10 a.m. Pacific, starting on March 24th. So in 20 days, I'm teaching it's advertised as a breath and meditation class, and it's in the yoga in my shop. It's on the top in the yoga classes. And you know how I have my read with me classes? Well, I'm going to change the name of this class to breathe with me. Breathe with me. And I really felt like that I wanted to shift the energy of this class rather than making it about yoga, just making it a time and an experience where you can come and breathe and learn how to breathe and just breathe together. Because, it's such an easy thing to forget to do every single day. And so, yes, I'm going to change the name of that class. Instead of breath and meditation series, which sounds so formal and boring, I'm going to change it to breathe with me. Yeah. So breathe with me starts on March 24th. And I think I'm going to revamp the class and make it more, I don't know, just really real and laid back, and lie down and just follow my voice and breathe for 75 minutes. And we'll do different practices, and I'll teach you how to do them and all of that. But yeah, so if you're interested in that kind of stuff, please check out my shop, and or send me a message and we can talk. Yeah, I'd really like to connect with more of you in that way. It's my passion. Okay. So good night. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Nancy, PaperMoon Tarot, for creating this tag. And I will update the prompts as well as the decks in the description box below once I sign off. Okay. Stay well, everybody. And good night.